pool, so had
Lee Strauss here.
Hey, Lee. Well, guess what, Philip? I have actually Lee Strauss on the line with us together, so we can actually recount a little bit about what's going on. You want to say hi to Lee?
Hey, Lee, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Great to hear your voice again.
Can you hear Philip? Okay, we're going to try to ask Philip to get closer to the microphone so we can all hear him. But can you hear him all right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right, and then
this is about as close to the mic as I can get.
That's good. That's much better. Yeah. And Lee Strauss, go ahead and be close to that microphone yourself. We were just talking about your group, led by Philip Wade, that went to the top of Mount Adams and some of the interesting activity that happened up there. You want to get into that a little bit tonight?
Sure, we can get into that and some other stuff. Sure, not a problem.
Well, go right ahead, Lee. Why don't you just start off the story, and we'll see if we can get. Let's see. We have Kathy Brock calling in as well. Let's see if I can. You know what? I think I'm going to have to call her back on Skype. But go ahead and if you guys can hear each other, let's hear about what happened up there on the mountain.
I guess I'll start off with that. It was quite the hike up there with all the gear that we were bringing along. Of course, Philip had his backpack, shoulder bag, and another carrying case. He was climbing up the mountain with. We had to go about 6 miles, and it took us about 6 hours to do it. So it was quite the climb. It was quite the climb, I'll tell you. Once we got up there, Philip wanted to hear about my abduction story, so I went ahead and told him. I recounted the events as they happened, and that night, about 3 o'clock, our camera guy related to us the next morning, actually, it happened about 3 o'clock, that there was some flashing lights outside the tent. And the thing is, we were about half a mile away from the climbing route where we bedded down overnight, in this alcove built with these rocks to keep the wind off the tents. And so apparently they were flashing, and he thought, well, that's interesting. I'm just going back to sleep. He went back to sleep. I didn't notice anything, of course. The next day he recounted that information. Of course, we filmed it all, and Philip, why don't you tell everybody what was on your back the next day?
Hey, well, by the way, I can barely hear you on the program, so it's probably just my phone or something like that. But I sounded like you were saying, "Hey, Philip, say something about what happened on Monday night." Is that right?
Yeah, as I recounted my incident with the abduction and the mark on my back.
Yeah.
Oh, the mark. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, all right. Now I'm tracking. Yeah, it's really hard for me to hear, so I'm just doing my best to try to piece things together. I'm out driving back from the International Bigfoot Conference, so I'm kind of in and out of signal. But so Monday night was when we did a calling, and we got that on video. I'm not sure exactly the whole how the whole process works, but maybe we can fill on that a little bit. But we did a calling, and then that night, Daniel, like the camera operator, he woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "There's lights strobing the tent," and you may have touched on this earlier, but yeah, he was talking about that, and I got that on camera. I interviewed him the next day, and he went back to sleep. He didn't do anything about it, which was, I think that was a bad idea, but
So Philip, let me jump. Philip, I don't know if you can. Yeah, just take a pause here for a moment. Let me just make sure that I have this correct. So, you guys are up on the mountain, 8 to 10,000 feet up, and you're probably sleeping in the snow, or at least it's very cold up there at night. So you're inside the tent. Are you all in the same tent at that point?
No.
So, yeah, so Daniel and I had a tent, and then Lee had a tent, and we were pretty much all side by side in this little rock, pile of rocks that were kind of built like a wall, and it was in a kind of a circle shape, and our tents were in the middle of it, and the reason for that is to keep the heavy winds out, because it's really cold up there. I don't know what the temperature was, but with the wind chill, it felt like it was probably 20 degrees or maybe a little colder. I don't know, Lee, if you have anything on the temperature up there, but it was frost everywhere. It was literally in the air. The air had frost in it. And it was, there was snow all over the place. We had to hike up a glacier with crampons and ice axe and all that fun stuff.
So in other words, you guys are sleeping inside of kind of like a stone circle. How high was the stone fence or the wall that was around you? Was it over 4 feet tall?
It was about 4 feet. It's about 4 feet tall.
3 to 4.
Okay.
It varied.
Well, the reason I'm asking how tall the wall was that you were sleeping around within there was that in the middle of the night, I believe you said 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday. That would have been actually Tuesday morning, I believe. Daniel at least wakes up
right,
because there are lights coming down, obviously, into and reflecting on the wall of his tent, at least. And obviously, if the wall that's surrounding you is 3 or 4 feet tall, it's not coming from some hiker coming up the mountain. It's coming down at him for some reason.
Oh yeah. There's no way, and maybe Lee, you can speak to that as well. But from my perspective, I mean, there's no way that there was a hiker that was on top of our tent shining lights down in it, and it was strobing. So he said it was flashing over and over again. It wasn't. Yeah. So and plus, there's nobody up in that spot anyway, and not to mention that if you walk around up there, it's a lava. It's a volcano, so you have all these rocks everywhere, and if you try to walk around on stuff up there, like it's really loud. It's not like walking on your kitchen floor. You could hear somebody if you're walking around.
Yeah. All right. And then of course, the story goes that Daniel wakes up, looks at his phone to determine that it was 3 o'clock or 3:15 or something, and for some reason he doesn't wake you guys up. He just decides to go back to sleep after this light was flashing on the tent. That's interesting.
Yeah. For some reason, he just decided, I'm good, and went back to sleep. And then the next morning, my back hurt. I had there's a sore or something on my back, and it's right on top of my spine. Matter of fact, it still hurts. There's raised on my lower spine, and I don't know what caused that, but for the rest of the night, when I put my backpack on, I practiced.
Hey, hang on just a second, Phil. Hey, Lee, is that the noise from your background coming through?
It's over with. They had to close the door. The dogs are trying to get in.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something with the background noise because it's drowning out Philip, if you could.
It's over.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so Philip, and I think you can verify this also, Lee, that Philip wakes up in in the morning, that probably would have been Tuesday morning, with some kind of a mark on his back. Is that right?
Yeah, apparently he wakes up with it, and it was sore for him. He hiked down to the mountain without thinking about it. Evidently, it must have been raised, and the backpack was somehow rubbing on his spine. Usually, backpacks are set up so that they don't rub on your spine, because that's a very sensitive area of the back. They usually have a channel there for airflow. So the fact that it actually was rubbing on that spot means that whatever it was raised up.
Yeah. And obviously that was the first time that you noticed it, right, Philip, when you put your backpack on?
Yeah. I didn't see it that day. I just felt something hurt on my back. And, and so, we hiked down the mountain, which was quite a job.
Yeah.
And,
matter of fact, I understand you were mentioning that it's not really a hike down the mountain; it's kind of a crawl down the mountain, right?
Yes, yeah, that would be correct. Although Lee was pretty much just running and jumping and skipping all the way down. So, I hurt my knee, my left knee, so I was having a hard time. It was really painful in the morning, but it got better as I guess I just got numb as the day went on. So it didn't hurt until I put on the 50-pound backpack. Then it started hurting. When I take that off, it felt okay. So apparently my knee just didn't like the extra 50 pounds.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But I still had a good knee. So, but yeah, once we got down, and then we headed out to Mike Beard's camp, checked out what he had going on there, and that ended up being actually a pretty interesting night. But I was sitting there in the camp, and my pack was really killing me. And then I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't see it, or I didn't look at it, or whatever. And then the next day, I drove back home to get some rest for the IBC conference. And after I got back, I took off my shirt and I had Tanya look at it. And Tanya is the videographer for the Bigfoot crew. And, she was looking at it, and she was like, oh, crap, you got to go to the doctor, get in the emergency room, this does not look good. And it was very raised protrusion. It had maybe some pus or something on the top of it. It was not good, you know what I mean? Not something you really want. And, it hurt a lot. And so, anyhow, I decided I didn't do anything about it. I just went to bed because I was really freaking tired, and got up the next morning, and it had done better after I, laid down and went to sleep and took a shower and all that. It improved fairly rapidly and started to feel over, probably because I wasn't running around with a backpack on. And I took some pictures of it too. So, it's right on top of my spine and the lower part of my back. And, it still hurts. I can still feel it right now, as a matter of fact, while I'm talking to you.
Oh.
So, but it's a lot better.
That's interesting. And, of course, you're saying that basically it was not there when you started up the mountain.
No, it was not there.
Yeah. Well, let's just backtrack a little bit, and maybe Lee Strauss can add some information about what it was like to be up on the top of Mount Adams that night, and what were the other maybe strange phenomena that you might have encountered.
Well, I'd just like to reiterate, Philip asked me to recount my abduction experience with the needle into the spine at the base of my neck. And I found it really concerning when he tells me that he's got a mark in the middle of his back on his spine, dead center. After I recounted my incident, I just find that too coincidental to just, it's just incredible. I can't believe it. I still can't. I have no words.
Yes.
But as far as other phenomenon up on the mountain, on the way back down, we did notice there had been a rock slide of sorts, fresh rock on the snow on one part of the mountain. that was not there when we climbed up.
Yes,